Absolutely. Here's a powerful, emotionally charged opening in the style of Eric Thomas to grab the audience from the first second and convince them to stay locked in until the last word. Look, before I even get deep into this, I need you to hear me right now. I don't care where you come from, what you've been through, or how many times life knocked you down. I'm talking to the fighter in you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to the version of you that keeps starting things, keeps dreaming, keeps say in one day, but never crosses that finish line. And I'm telling you right here, right now, the difference between the people who talk about winning and the ones who live it, it's not talent, it's not money, it's not even connections. The difference is simple. They finish, everybody starts. Come on, that ain't special. Anybody can get hyped on January 1st. Anybody can launch a project, post the dream on Instagram, or wake up one day and say, I'm about to change my life. That's easy. You don't need strength for that. You don't need character for that. But to finish, to endure when it's no longer cute, to show up when nobody's clapping, to push when you're drained, empty, and everything in you is screaming quit. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you a winner. See, some of y'all are standing in front of opportunities that were meant for you, meant for your family, your name, your future. But you'll never taste him. You'll never own him. Why? 'Cause you keep walking away when it gets real. You keep letting almost become your identity. But today, we're breaking that. Today, we're not just gonna start something. We're gonna finish. And when I say finish, I mean go all the way through it. Blood, sweat, tears, all of it. Because finishing is not just about winning the game. It's about becoming the type of person who never backs down. So if you're tired of the excuses, if you're sick of starting strong and ending weak, if you're ready to finally win for real this time, then you better lock in. Sit up straight, take a breath, because I'm about to show you why finishing is the real secret to winning. Let's go. Everybody wants to be great. Everybody wants to win. I ain't never met a single person who looked me in the eye and said, I want to be average. I want to settle. I want to live a small life. Nah, that's not how we're built. Deep down, every single one of us wants to accomplish something. We want to create, to rise up, to make our mark. But let me tell you the truth that most people don't want to hear. Wanting something ain't enough. Starting something ain't enough. It's finishing that separates the dreamers from the doers. That's the secret nobody's talking about. See, anybody can start. That's the easy part. You don't need discipline to start. You don't need toughness to start. All you need is a little inspiration, a little energy, and a moment of excitement. That's it. Starting is emotional. It's hype. That moment you say, I'm gonna start my business, or I'm going to the gym, or I'm going to change my life. And in that moment, it feels like you already won. It feels good to declare it. People around you might clap for you. They'll say, that's amazing, I'm proud of you. But here's what nobody tells you: starting doesn't change your life. Finishing does. I know people who have started 15 different things. 15 diets, 15 businesses, 15 books, 15 goals. And you know what they have to show for it. Nothing but a trail of broken beginnings. Incomplete work, unfinished journeys. They got all the dreams in the world, but no results. Why? Because they never made the shift from excitement to endurance. They never crossed the line from potential to purpose. They were addicted to the rush of starting, but allergic to the grind of finishing. And if you're being real with yourself, you might feel that too. You might look back at your life and see a whole lot of half-done projects. Goals you were excited about, but didn't stick with. Dreams you started chasing, but gave up on. That's not a judgment, it's just truth. And I'm not saying it to shame you. I'm saying it to wake you up. Because I've been there, I've felt that. I know what it's like to be tired of starting over, to be exhausted by your own inconsistency, to feel like you're always busy, but you're not moving forward. I know what that pain feels like, and I also know what it feels like to finally decide that enough is enough. When you finish something, really finish it. It rewires your mind. It changes your identity. It's no longer, I'm trying to be great. It's, I am great. Because finishing proves something to yourself that starting never could. It proves that you've got what it takes to push through when it's boring, when it's lonely, when it's not glamorous, when it hurts. That's what winning is. It's not just crossing the finish line, it's surviving the whole race to get there. And look, I get it, finishing is scary. You know why? 'Cause when you finish, you're accountable. When it's done, it's judged. You can't hide behind I'm still working on it. Forever. You can't keep blaming circumstances or waiting for the perfect time. That's why people delay finishing. They're afraid that their best might not be good enough. But I'm telling you, finishing, even imperfect, is better than being stuck in a cycle of endless beginnings. You finish ugly before you finish excellent, but you finish. Most people lose not because they lack skill or opportunity. They lose because they never finish. They never follow through. They never see it all the way. They fall in love with potential but cheat on it with distraction. They start on fire but burn out before they reach the goal. And I came to tell you, you are not most people. You've got something in you that can go the distance. But you got stop celebrating false starts. Stop patting yourself on the back for just showing up. That's the minimum. What matters is that you stay till it's done. I'm talking to the one who's always starting something new, but never closing the loop. The one who's surrounded by unfinished business and unfulfilled purpose. You've got all the ideas, but no legacy. And I say that with love, because it doesn't have to stay that way. You can shift. You can draw a line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I'm not just gonna be a starter. I'm gonna be a finisher. Because starters are everywhere, but finishers are rare. Finishers are the ones who write the books, launch the businesses, change the culture, build the life. Finishers leave proof. Finishers leave a mark. Anybody can start something, but not everybody's willing to stay in the fire long enough to bring it to life. But if you want to win, really win, it starts with deciding that you're gonna finish no matter what. I don't care if it takes longer than you thought. I don't care if it's harder than you imagined. I don't care if you've failed before or if you're tired. You don't stop until it's done. You don't let another year pass with unfinished dreams. You don't let your potential rot in the corner of your comfort zone. Nah, you rise up, you commit, you finish, because at the end of the day, the world doesn't remember what you started. It only remembers what you finished. Let me break it down for you. Motivation is a beautiful thing, but it don't last. It's loud, it's powerful, and it'll get you out the bed that first morning. It'll have you writing out plans, buying the gear, telling your friends what you're about to do. But it fades. Motivation is like a spark. It's real, it's hot. But if you don't feed it with something deeper, it dies. And what's left when that motivation disappears? What's left when the hype is gone? You better have discipline, because discipline is the thing that shows up when the feelings don't. Motivation is about how you feel. Discipline is about what you do, regardless of how you feel. You don't need discipline when you're excited. You don't need it when things are going smooth. You need it when you're tired, when it's cold, when it's hard, when it ain't fun anymore. You need it when nobody's clapping for you, when you're not getting results yet. When your mind is telling you to give up, that's when discipline kicks in. That's when the real ones keep going. Some of y'all keep quitting not because you don't have potential, but because you're relying on motivation. You keep waiting to feel like it. You keep saying, when I'm in the right mood, I'll do it. When things settle down, I'll get back on track. Let me tell you, winners don't wait to feel ready. Winners don't wait for the perfect conditions. Winners build a system that doesn't care about moods. They train their habits to move whether they feel like it or not. You gotta stop negotiating with your goals. You said you wanted to be great. You said you wanted to change your life. You said you were tired of being average, but every time life throws a little pressure at you, you fold. Every time it gets hard, you fall off. You break your own promises, and I'm not judging you. I'm trying to help you. Because that cycle, that pattern, that's the reason you haven't finished. That's the reason you're stuck. Motivation will get you started, but discipline, that quiet, unsexy, consistent discipline, that's what gets you to the end. That's what gets you across the finish line. And the crazy thing is, once you get there, people will think you're lucky. They'll say, wow, you're gifted, you're talented. Nah, what they didn't see was you waking up at 5 a.m. when the alarm felt like punishment. They didn't see you grinding through the pain, working when it wasn't fun, staying in when everybody else was out partying. They didn't see the sacrifice, because discipline don't make noise. It don't announce itself. It just shows up, does the work, and builds momentum when motivation would have bailed. There are days when you're gonna feel unstoppable, but there will be more days when you feel like quitting. You gotta be prepared for both. You can't let your emotions run your schedule. If you only act when it feels good, you'll never get anything finished. You'll always have great starts and zero completions. Winners know this, so they build discipline like a muscle. They don't skip the reps. They don't skip the grind. And even on the days when it's hard, they keep showing up. Some of y'all are out here looking for the secret sauce. You're looking for the next course, the next plan, the next motivational video. Let me give it to you plain. The secret is doing it when you don't want to. That's it. It's pushing through the fatigue. It's writing one more page when your brain is fried. It's doing one more rep when your muscles are screaming. It's making one more call when you've been rejected all day. That's where the winners are born. Not in the hype, in the hard, in the lonely, in the quiet. You think the greats were always motivated. Nah, you think champions wake up every day fired up. No, but they show up, they lace up, they execute. They don't let how they feel determine how they move. They've trained themselves to follow through, even when the fire's gone, even when the applause is gone, even when the belief is shaky. That's what separates them. And here's the truth. You already have it in you. You've just been giving yourself too many exits. You've been letting your feelings call the shots. You say, I'm tired. So what? You think being tired means you stop. You say, I don't feel inspired today. Inspiration ain't a requirement. Discipline is. You say, I'm not seeing results. That doesn't mean it's not working. That means you gotta keep pressing. Trust the process. Respect the grind, because what you do consistently, not occasionally, is what builds legacy. You gotta flip the switch from emotion to execution. It's not about how loud you start. It's about how strong you finish. And you won't finish unless you commit to doing the work even when it's not exciting anymore. That's the price of winning. That's the cost of greatness. So yeah, let motivation start the engine. Let it hype you up, get you excited, get you moving. But if you want to actually reach the destination, if you want to win at the highest level, you better strap in and ride with discipline. Cause motivation might get you out the driveway, but it's discipline that's gonna carry you across the finish line. I need you to hear this because it's heavy, but it's true. Unfinished work is wasted potential. That dream you started but never completed, that plan you mapped out but never executed, that book you half wrote, that business idea you halfway built, that goal you almost reached but gave up on. All of it, wasted potential, and I know that's tough to swallow, but we gotta stop dressing up incompletion and pretending like it's progress. Halfway done is still undone. Almost finished is still unfinished. And potential without execution is just regret waiting to happen. You could be the most talented person in the room. You could have all the ideas, all the creativity, all the passion. But if you never finish, none of it matters. Potential doesn't pay the bills. Potential doesn't create impact. Potential doesn't feed families, write legacies, or build anything real. It just sits there, unused, untouched, rotting away inside people who never committed to finishing what they started. I've seen it too many times, people with dreams bigger than their discipline, people who talk loud about where they're going, but their lives don't match their words. You started writing the book, that's good. But a half-written book doesn't change lives. Nobody reads page 1 and puts it on the shelf in tears. You started the business, cool, but an unfinished business doesn't create jobs, doesn't serve clients, doesn't put your name in rooms you've never stepped foot in. You started training, said you wanted to transform your health, said this was your year, but you quit before your body ever got a chance to reflect your effort. So now all that energy, all that investment, all that sweat, it's just floating in the past with nothing to show for it. And here's what most people don't realize. Unfinished work doesn't just stay where you left it. It weighs on you, it follows you, it whispers in your ear when you try to sleep. It reminds you every time someone else wins, every time you see somebody else walk across the stage or finish the thing you never did. It doesn't go away, because deep down you know you could have, you know you should have. But you didn't, and now that regret eats at you. But you don't have to live like that. You don't have to carry the weight of unfinished business forever. You can still turn it around. You can make a new decision. You can go back and pick up what you dropped. You can finish it, because finishing has the power to redeem all those wasted moments. It transforms almost into I did it. It turns failure into fuel. It converts wasted potential into actual power. And listen to me, this ain't about perfection. This ain't about doing it flawlessly. This is about completion. This is about following through. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need every condition to be perfect. You just need to commit to getting it done. Because the world doesn't move for people who almost made it. The world opens up for people who finish. That's who gets remembered. That's who gets opportunities. That's who shifts culture and writes history. And the truth is, finishing changes you. When you finish something, no matter how big or small, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you're not just talk. You're not just hype. You're solid. You're reliable. You're someone who follows through. And once you finish one thing, it gives you confidence to finish the next. That's how momentum is built. One finish at a time. You know what breaks people. It's not always the hard work. It's the emptiness that comes from always starting but never seeing anything through. That creates this cycle of frustration where you don't believe in yourself anymore. Because every time you commit to something and don't finish, you break that internal contract. You teach your own brain that your words don't matter, that your goals are suggestions, not commitments, that you're not serious about your own life. But every time you do finish, you send the opposite message. You teach your mind, when I say I'm going to do something, I mean it. That's how you build power. That's how you build belief, not from speeches or hype or motivation, but from daily, consistent follow-through, from closing loops, from tying up the ends, from doing the last rep, the last page, the last call, the last step. And don't get it twisted. Finishing ain't always glamorous. It's not shiny. It's not flashy. Sometimes finishing means dragging yourself through the final 10% with no audience, no applause, and no recognition. But you still do it. You still push through, because the win doesn't come from who cheers for you. It comes from knowing you did what you said you'd do. That's real success. That's integrity. Some of you are sitting on gold, but you keep leaving it in the dirt because you're afraid to finish. Afraid it won't be good enough. Afraid of what people might think. Afraid of failing publicly. But let me tell you something. Even an imperfect finish is better than a perfect idea that never sees the light of day. Stop overthinking, stop hiding, stop stalling. It's time to finish. You've started enough, you've dreamed enough, you've talked enough. Now it's time to finish, because when you finish, the game changes. When you finish, you get proof. You get power, you get momentum, and most of all, you get peace. Peace knowing that you didn't waste your gifts. Peace knowing that you didn't bury your talents. Peace knowing that you did what you were called to do, even when it was hard, even when nobody was watching, even when everything in you wanted to quit, because an unfinished life is a life full of what-ifs, but a finished one. A finished life is full of witness. When you finish something, really finish it. It does something to your soul. It hits different. It's not just about checking a box or crossing something off a list. Nah, it's deeper than that. Finishing rewires your brain. It shapes your character. It builds your confidence from the inside out. Because every time you follow through on something that most people would have quit on, you send a message to yourself. I'm built for this. That's what winners do. They don't just talk about success. They create patterns of success. And it all starts with finishing. See, when you finish, you build identity. You shift your mindset. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to be something, and you start living like someone who already is. You become a finisher, and finishers walk different. They talk different. They think different. Why? Because they've been through it. They've done the work. They've battled the resistance and came out stronger on the other side. That experience, that fire, it shapes your confidence in a way that nothing else can. And I don't mean the fake confidence that comes from people clapping for you. I'm talking about the kind that's built in silence. The kind that's born when nobody sees you grinding, when nobody believes in your dream but you. The kind of confidence that's built not from winning once, but from finishing consistently, even when it was hard, even when it was inconvenient, even when you didn't feel like it. That's where real self-belief comes from, not just from knowing what you're capable of, but from having the evidence that you've done it before and you'll do it again. Every finish is a brick in the foundation of your character. Every time you finish what you said you would, you become more trustworthy, not just to others, but to yourself. And that's the most important trust there is, because when you trust you, you move different. You don't hesitate. You don't second-guess yourself. You stop talking yourself out of things before they even begin. You stop needing permission. You stop waiting for somebody else to validate your process. You just do the work and you finish it. And here's the thing. Once you finish one thing, you get momentum. You ever notice that? You finally complete that course you've been putting off. You finally hit that fitness goal. You finally launch that project, and all of a sudden, you feel unstoppable. You start believing that finishing isn't just a moment. It's a habit. It's not a fluke, it's who you are now. That's the power of momentum. It multiplies your belief. It accelerates your growth. One win turns into the next, and then the next, and before you know it, your life looks different. Not because you got lucky, but because you made a decision to see things through. Finishing trains you to stay in alignment with your higher self. Because let's be real, it's easy to get excited. It's easy to dream, but dreams don't pay off unless you cash them in with action. And action alone isn't enough if you quit halfway through. So you build your discipline, you build your consistency, and that consistency becomes character. And that character, that's what people feel when they meet you. That's what gives you presence. That's what gives you gravity in a room. You don't have to say a word. People feel that you're solid because they can sense you're not flaky, not surface, not shallow. You finish, you close, you complete, and here's what finishing does for your future. It gives you options. It gives you leverage. You walk into the next chapter of your life with proof, not just potential, proof. You can look a client in the eye, look an investor in the eye, look a crowd in the eye and say, here's what I've done, here's what I've built, here's what I've finished. And when you've got proof, you don't have to beg for opportunities. You don't have to chase everything. Opportunities start chasing you. Doors open because finishers aren't common, and people recognize when they're in the presence of one. Some of you have been doubting yourself for so long, not because you're not capable, but because you keep starting over. You keep quitting too soon, and that quitting, that cycle of incompletion, has been eroding your confidence. But you can change that starting today. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. You just have to commit to finishing. Because every time you finish, you plant a flag in your own soul that says, I'm not backing down anymore. I'm not running from hard anymore. I'm not living in almost anymore. You finish, and suddenly you start walking in rooms with your head high, not because somebody hyped you up, but because you know what you've conquered. You know what you've overcome. You know how many times you wanted to give up, but you didn't. And that knowledge, that internal evidence, it builds a foundation nobody can take from you. People can question your strategy, they can question your style, but they can't question your results. They can't question the fact that you finish what you start. And you need that kind of identity, especially in a world that celebrates shortcuts, quick wins, and half-effort success. You need to be the one that's rooted, grounded, reliable, because when the storms hit, and they will hit, it's not the starters who survive. It's the finishers, the ones who didn't just come out the gate strong, but who built the endurance to last through the pain, the doubt, the fear, the silence. That's who wins, that's who rises, that's who lasts. So if you're looking for the edge, if you're looking for the secret, if you're wondering how to get from potential to purpose, it's this: finish what you start, because when you finish, you build belief. You build strength. You build a life that speaks louder than words ever could. You finish and you win,